Hello. Kind of an awkward angle. But this is the best angle for this work. Thank you for joining me. I am going to be doing a remote energy healing session. And what you see here is what I do my sessions on. This is just a towel, and I drew out, hi there, welcome. I drew out an outline of a person, and this is what I work on. And I drew out the chakra points and their corresponding colors. So the way that a remote energy healing works is the healer, the practitioner, connects energetically with the client that they're working on, and they can then essentially use anything. I use this towel, this drawing of a person, but when I was doing my training with Reiki, we used stuffed animals to train on for remote healing. So you could use anything to do remote healing. You just have your understanding that whatever you're using has the energy of the person that you're connecting with. So I like this size because it's very similar to a general person size. Obviously, it's not a full-size human, but I like the ratios of things for this type of working. Okay, so we do have our person, Amanda. I don't know if she's logged in yet, but we'll give her a couple more minutes just to see if she wants to log in. Otherwise, we're just going to go ahead. She knows it's happening, obviously. So let's see, what else can I share? Before I do a session, I like to clear my space. So energetically, sometimes I'll use a smoke stick. I will clear the room. I will just like raise the vibration of the space I'm in, and I make sure that all my chakras are open. So how I do that, and what you'll see me do it on our person here, is I have a pendulum, and this is a necklace that I wear all the time. It's a black tourmaline. If you're into crystals, black tourmaline is like a energetic protection kind of crystal. Doesn't have to be that, it's just what I use. So when I'm checking my chakras, I hold it over an area. I don't know if you can see. I'll do my heart chakra. And then it starts to spin. If I were to have a closed chakra, it wouldn't do anything. It would just sit there. If I had a backwards chakra, I'm going to force it to spin. It would go this way. If it's open chakra, it's going to go this way. If it's open and spinning. If it's open, it will rock back and forth. So I use that, and it interacts with me in that way because it's the language that I work with. And I use that to see what's going on with a client and myself. So like I was saying, I make sure that all my chakras are open, especially my third eye and my crown. I found when I did a live on Instagram a couple weeks ago, maybe it was just last week, I was trying to do a bone casting reading, and I found that after, it didn't go well. After I tried, I noticed that my third eye was closed and my crown was closed. So hello, that didn't go well. So for any reading, for energy work, I make sure that both of these are open, because this is where we receive our intuitive connection and our interpretive of the energies. So that's the prep work I do beforehand. And I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So I do want to do a good 30 minutes. So I have already connected with Amanda's energy a couple times just to like get a feel for it prior to. But what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to talk while I do it next, is I connect in with my higher vibrational self and my guides and the things that I work with spiritually. And then I just set the intent that this is a healing for her highest and best good, that the working is for my highest and best good, and then I make sure it's a safe space. And then I kind of energetically travel to her. I have her profile picture and her name, and I just pinpoint it. And that is a matter of training and belief and a whole other thing, but that's how I do it. And then at some point I connect with her, and then I'm going to start to experience what it's like inside her beingness, and that's what I'll start to describe. And then I'll just move through a regular session and tell you everything I experience. So I'll go ahead and get started. Okay, make sure I'm calm before I join in there. Okay. Okay, so I'm starting to feel Amanda's energy, and it's very similar to what I felt earlier today. So when I connect in with her, I feel like in my body, I just kind of want to like, I'm very, there's like not a lot of structure. Like, I don't know if it's what her body's doing or just energetically, there's just like this like limpness, like it just is like kind of limp. So that's the first thing I'm noticing right now. I do get the sense of either fatigue or like I feel like either fatigue or kind of like sadness on the face. And just this like it's interesting. You think of like a Pisces energy where it just doesn't quite like take a lot of form. It feels like that, but it's like it's not an excited energy. It's just like doing that. Okay, so typically I would just write that down because I'm constantly taking notes when I do these, so I'm just doing it verbally. So everything I discover, it's kind of like it's a mystery being unraveled. So I am learning as I go, and you just get to watch. So what I do next is I'm going to connect in. On a physical client, this is where you go. Well, this is how I do it. So I connect in just right on her body next. All right. So more of that just kind of like energy is just kind of like droopy. I do feel a little bit of I don't know if it might be like old grief. There's just a little bit of heart going on here. Okay. Next, I like to check the chakras to see what they're doing. Okay, so her root chakra is closed. Sacral is closed. Solar plexus is closed. Heart is closed. Throat is closed. Third eye is closed. Crown chakra is closed. This is pretty typical. Our chakras can be open or closed, just depends on the moment. But she'll feel a lot better once they're all open. Okay, and then I go ahead and I feel again over her body, and this is a little bit more of the emotional body. It might be, I've experienced depression in myself. This might be a tinge of depression that I'm feeling. It's tied with sadness. It's not like, I don't know. I guess I'm going to say probably depression is what I'm experiencing. There's a lot of throat blocks in her. So we'll work on clearing those out. There's a lot of not being able to express herself. Yep, there's quite a bit. So right here I'm feeling fear, sadness, quite a bit of a lot of emotions going on here. And this is near the heart area. I don't feel a lot of, so solar plexus is where we would get like our personal power, and we could definitely boost that up a little bit as we work. She doesn't feel like she's got a lot of personal power. Grief over her, so this is the sacral, and as women we often carry a lot of baggage in our ovaries and our uterus, so there's sadness there, there's stuff going on there. And then a general disconnection. Her root was closed, so just not quite being in her body. She's just, we're gonna help feel better. Okay, so sometimes I will go straight in and start working on the root chakras, and as I get the blocks I go ahead and clear as I do it. Sometimes I just focus in and get rid of some stuff before I even begin on the chakras, and I think that's what I would like to do, just to help her feel better, because we've got quite a bit here. So okay. Yeah, I would definitely, we're going to call this one depression. And depression is so many emotions all jumbled up, and we hold it, she's holding it really strong here. Just, okay. So I'm going to intuitively ask what I can do with this, because I don't necessarily go in with a plan. I'm led, but I am experiencing this big feeling, so it's a little overwhelming. Okay, we can just go ahead and take that off her. She doesn't need it right now. And I'm picturing this as like a big, kind of like a dark, it's solid. It's hard to describe. I don't want to say a dark, like a mushroom or a piece of coal, but it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to describe it, but it's very energetic. I see it with my third eye. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I like to get all of it, and it's tied, it like goes down into her other chakras and other areas of her body, so just and I take these and I usually hand them off to a spiritual helper. Okay. So that's a lot less pressure. That's good. Very good. The throat, blocks are tied to something else. I'm getting personally a lot of action in my third eye, which could be her third eye that I feel. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start opening her chakras. I'm going to start at the root and just work my way up. Okay, so what I do for this is I have been trained in Reiki's 1 and 2. Oh, that could be. All right, sorry. I'm going to stay focused and not necessarily read the chat because I'll definitely get distracted. So I'm trained in Reiki 1 and 2. I haven't done the master class yet, and you gain symbols in those. And so I like to incorporate that in my work. So I'll be using a symbol, and that just helps focus the energy. I don't necessarily have to use a symbol, but I like to. So that's what I'm doing here. Just draw the symbol over, and then I'm moving my hand clockwise over her to help open that chakra. And when I do this, sometimes I feel a lot of resistance. Sometimes it's just, it opens really easy. Sorry, I'm shaking the whole bed. Okay. For here, I feel a little bit of resistance, but sometimes when we've had a hard time being in our body, like our body's really kind of scary to be in, so there is going to be more resistance for that. So when I do get a lot of resistance, I like to just see if I can make it easier for her to come back in. Yep, a lot of feelings. All right. Okay, so I'm receiving an energetic message from her guides, and they want her to know that she's never alone. I feel a lot of grief right now. She's never alone. They're always with her. And it's okay if, Amanda, if you're watching and you're experiencing sadness and grief, go ahead and let it out. Go ahead and let it all out. We're going to work on making your body a safe place again. And by the time these are all open, it will feel more comfortable, okay? Sometimes when I'm doing these, I truly just talk to the person too. Like, I know they're not physically here, but I will talk to them, and I know it's reaching them on some level. I'm moving up now to the sacral. And for this, so our hands, I'm doing some spinning, and just having my hand here, I am directing healing energy out my hands, and just being so focused on her energy, I believe that there's a lot of energy flowing into her with or without the direction of my hands, but the hands are the tools. And after we get all the way through, I'll go ahead and show you how she's spinning. So all her chakras were closed, and personally it's my goal to get them all open and spinning, but sometimes we just can't get them spinning, but at least we can have them open. And there's a lot of spiritual work that we do to be able to keep our chakras open. For example, the third eye and the crown, if you are not like spiritually kind of more open on your own, we can't really force that open because that would do damage. It's almost like doing like an acid trip and not really knowing any basis. So while I can start to open that and make that comfortable. I'm not going to like be able to make it wide open because that would potentially be more damaging. Her throat's got a lot going on here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and okay, she's got years of not being able to communicate what she wants. Years of that. And that's okay. Sometimes when we feel like we can't communicate, softening our breath helps soften the throat. So as a practical advice, Amanda, when you feel like you can't communicate, try to deepen your breathing. You'll feel more safe and it will soften your throat, like you can communicate more easily. All right, I can remove this for you. I always ask first before I just go taking things. This has a lot of grief tied to it too, and I'm getting a lot of flashes of images, something tied with the baby. So much grief. Okay. Okay, now we are left with fear. So first we had a lot of grief blocking the throat, and now we have fear. What would happen if she communicates? What would happen? Okay, so how do we work with the fear? Knowing your own truth, so connecting in with your inner truth. It may not always be received well, but when you speak your truth, there is a level of... I'm questioning this because I know personally, even if I'm communicating my truth, if I am not connected upward, there's a lot of fear still. So I want to tell her that when we are connecting, when we're speaking from a spiritual place, and when we are speaking from our soul, there is a level of, not confidence, it's much bigger than confidence. It's just, it's like the word of God. Like it just comes out and it's powerful and it's received and it's love and it's at a vibration that, you know, you don't need to be afraid of, and you can achieve that too. You may not feel like you're ready for that, but at some point you can do that too. But it takes, okay, we have to open the chakra to be able to speak out. So to get, right now the fear wants to keep the chakra closed, but we need to let the fear go so we can open the chakra so you can communicate what you need to communicate. So we're gonna kind of just, we're gonna set the fear aside just for now. You have access to this fear. If you want it later, you can have it later. But for now, I want you to just set it aside and If you feel like you want to close down, that's an option, okay? I'm not going to force you to communicate when you're not ready, but right now we're just going to set it aside, okay? All right. Oh, that's much easier now. Feels good. There's no resistance there now. Sometimes we're not ready to give up the things we're carrying, and I'm not going to force someone to give something up that they're not ready, but we don't have to constantly hold it, so we can just set it aside. There's always access to it later. Okay. Try not to rock the bed here. All right, so what I've found in a lot of my clients is so many people are carrying all of the noise of the world, okay? And she's not carrying it a ton, but it is there. It's all of everything, you know. It's just, I've seen it as a huge cloud on people. Like, it's pretty overwhelming. So right now she's having a hard time opening up her third eye and her crown just because of all of the noise. So I'd like to go ahead and just kind of break through the noise a bit. Okay, and she has a tendency to consume things that, so for a long, she has been carrying a lot of grief, and she has a tendency to be attracted to things in the world that point out the grief in her, because she needs to learn from that. So right now she has this tendency to consume things that make her, that trigger that, because there's lessons in there for her. So what I would like to do, again, she's not, I don't want to force her to deal with her inner grief yet, because she's not quite ready. But sometimes just the awareness that that's what we're doing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out everything that is not that amount of grief that she needs to see outside of herself to learn. I'm going to clear everything else out, because the other stuff she doesn't need. But we'll let that grief be external, because that's what she needs right now. So what I'm visualizing for that, it's like on her backside. So this is the top of her. Underneath, there's this almost like an energetic cord going up into the human collective. And it's just how she's processing grief right now. So we're going to leave that and allow that to be. But all of the other pressures we don't need. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and see how her chakras are doing after that bit of work. Her root is open and spinning. Sacral is just open. It's open pretty well. It's not spinning, but it's decently strong. Solar plexus is open. Heart is open. Throat is open. Her third eye is open and spinning. Crown is open and spinning. All right, I have a couple more minutes, and normally I do 45 minutes, so this is kind of an abbreviated session. But in every session, I get to a point where I do the obvious things. There's always like way more to do, but then I sit and I connect and see, okay, what is it that I need to do right now? So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so it has to do with her grief, and I'm getting the message of tell her she's sheltered and loved by her connection with God. She can give her grief to Him, and He will protect her. So much sadness. Whew. Okay, so I'm just gonna offer love now for a little bit. And sometimes I will put one hand underneath. So in Reiki, you can do symbols. There are symbols that you can do. If you're a master level, you do the master symbol. Again, I'm not a master level, so I just do, I'm going to do Seiheki on her for this, because I really think that's very loving energy as far as like my experience with it. And so I did one hand under her heart and one hand over, and that just like sends it right through on either side. Do this for a couple minutes, and then I'll go ahead and brush her off of anything extra that I can do real quick, and then go ahead and close. Someone who's, so sometimes in a session, someone can use like quite a bit of sessions over time, and sometimes people only need like a couple sessions. I always would recommend people pair Reiki sessions or healing sessions with their own internal work. So like for Amanda here, I would suggest doing a lot of journaling, a lot of self-care, maybe doing baths to help. Sometimes when we do baths, it helps us connect with our emotions. She could do like a grief relief bath, and this is for you, Amanda. You could do, you just like set up a nice bath, and you imagine that all of your grief is going into the water as you're bathing. And then, you know, at the end of the bath, while you're still in it, go ahead and let all the water drain and experience like all of that grief just going down the drain. So that's something that you can do to help support yourself symbolically with all of this. Oh, it feels better now. There was a shift there. That's good. Now it's feeling a lot better. It's cool to experience a shift. So anyway, yeah, I would recommend, if people were to do Reiki sessions with anybody, is to make sure you're doing the work on your side too, just to help solidify the energetic work. It's just like doing plant medicine, just like doing ayahuasca, just like doing any kind of breakthrough work, any spiritual work. You have to be able to support that in your daily life also to make a serious shift. So, and that's something you can research. You can keep your intuition open. to be guided to what you can do for that, you can always ask your practitioner questions. I'm sure they have a lot of good ideas how to support your work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the last few things that I do typically, which is any extra like easy energy that I can just like get rid of. I'm going to do that first. Any heaviness. When I do this on people in person, they experience this almost like a top layer is being peeled right off of their bodies. That's pretty cool. I'm just gonna gather all that, yep. All of that. I kind of get it off the bottom of her feet. And then I learned in my class, and I think it's fun to like fluff up their aura after. It's like, I didn't really focus on her aura at all, except the collective consciousness, that like heavy noise, that was definitely impeding on her aura, kind of blocking her connections. So that was auric work, but this is essentially like her energetic body, closer to her body work. I have done auric specific energy work too, but this is just like a little bit of fluffing. And then always ground. When you're doing any energetic work, help them get back in their body, because after it's they can be real spacey if you don't ground them. And I'm holding the feet of my person and I am helping her energy ground. And then I was trained at the end of a Reiki session to do, I have a power symbol right in the solar plexus. Okay, and then when I'm finished, so that's it. And then I disconnect. I have to separate my energy from her energy to allow that. And I thank her. Thank you for that session. Thank all her helpers. Thank you. Okay, and that is a session. So I'll go ahead and open it up to questions. I'm just gonna adjust where we're at. Didn't lower this, sorry. I can look over the previous questions too. Oh, no, Amanda. So she says, I hope I didn't give you too much of a hard time. Thank you so much. I've experienced so many things. Don't even worry about it. And honestly, the hardest thing, oh, she's very emotional, I'm sure. Okay, so support yourself with the grief work that we talked about. I'm glad that you're gonna cry, let all that out. Okay, so don't cling on to it. And you might, over the next few days, experience that. But you are getting lighter. So letting all that out is helping you to, you know, let it go, which is great. So that's the healing process. And what I was saying though is the hardest work that I've personally done is actually on myself. Doing this method, treating myself like a remote client, has been the most intense work that I've done. Nothing compares to that, because it's like open heart surgery without anesthesia. So do not worry. I am tougher than that, Amanda. I'm so glad that you were willing to let us experience this with you. And I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. Let me look back through the chat real quick. I always struggle with this every single time. Okay, here we go. Okay, so all right, we are fully open for questions now. Again, Amanda, thank you so much for letting us work on you publicly. Does anybody have any questions about energy healing or anything at all? I am open for anything. I think I have about 20 minutes to start a good dialogue. You're welcome, Amanda. I am going to be doing this type of work every Sunday at this time, and I'm going to open it up, same thing, just a follower from you all, okay? And you can be looking for that. I will post something during the middle of the week, and you can say that you would like it. Sorry, I'm getting chats here, so let me look at what people are saying. Okay. So Alexandra, I'm interested in becoming an energy healer. Do you have any suggestions? Where to start? Okay. So with the lockdown of everything, there are now more places where you could be trained for Reiki. I almost think that they, actually I don't know for sure. My Reiki practitioner said that she was already a master, and then she took a higher level course online, and that allowed certification. It hasn't always been the case that you've been able to be certified online, but I recommend that because it is very structured, and it is a great way of getting that feedback. Also, like, you're with a practitioner or a teacher, even if it's remotely and you don't have someone in person, you can sense the energy and they can sense the energy too. So you can practice with that. I personally explored energy work on my own prior to my Reiki training. And I think that if you are empathic or, can sense the energy of other people, you are already kind of doing energy work. You just aren't consciously doing anything with it. So you could start to explore with your friends, with your family, someone you trust. You can just connect with them and, practice, play. A lot of the exploration we can do is through play, and that's like a free way you can get started. Obviously, you can do research and read books and all of that. Let me grab a book that I really liked. This book is called Hands, you're not going to see it properly. It's called Hands of Light, and that's by Barbara Ann Brennan. I'll have to write it below because that's definitely backwards. But this one was really good. It is, so it's a guide to healing through the human energy field. She was like a NASA scientist and came to energy healing through her own process, but she applies a very scientific mind to it, but also she's become incredibly spiritual, and it ties in psychic gifts. It's a good one. It's quite large. It's a textbook. But as far as recommending a book, I really liked this one. And then also the manual I got through my Reiki training. I don't know if I have that handy. I do. So there are different techniques, and this is the manual I got through my course. And I really appreciated that versus like trying to research online or different books. Like, getting a true manual, you're going to get the real good information, not necessarily like the like PC version of what Reiki is. So yeah, that's my recommendation for that. I did have another question too. Oops, someone's calling. My husband's phone. All right, I have a question. Oops, how does it feel? Sorry. How does it feel when you are sending the healing energy from your hands? Okay. Actually, sorry. I think that's a timer on my husband's phone. I'm going to turn that off real quick. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So the energy healing, when the energy is coming out of my hands, sometimes it can feel like a lot of different things. Sometimes I will feel like prickles, like I'll feel little prickles, and I think that that's more me sensing So I guess I should say sometimes the energy wants to flow. It just like you feel over a spot and it's like, I want to flow there. I want to go there. That place needs it. And so you might experience that as tingling or sometimes, so this is, I don't know. when I guess I experience it mostly as heat, and I am so focused on putting my intent there. I'm feeling it right now. What do I feel? Um, I guess it's like heat and almost like electric, like electricity. It feels like electricity. Like if I were to touch something, like one of those plasma balls where you like feel that energy, it's like a plasma ball. That's what it feels like. But when you're feeling over somebody, you can feel where the energy wants to go, where on their body they need it. And that can feel like, it can feel like tough, like in the energy blocks, it felt like, oh, there's mass there, there's density there. Or it can feel like, oh, there's nothing there. There should be something there, but I'm not feeling anything. It can feel cool. It can feel, like I said, prickly. I think that's most of the things that I feel. And you can practice feeling things. Everything has an energy to it. It doesn't have to be a person. You could practice on yourself too. I started feeling the energy in like crystals. You can feel the energy of crystals and you'll experience different vibrations in different crystals. Like this is a big old labradorite pendulum I got as a gift. And this has its own energy. That's how I started practicing really years ago. I was feeling rocks. I was feeling um, everything, everything I could, trees. So that's a great way to just like start practicing, I guess. So here's another for your healing practice. So you just start feeling everything. Also meditating. I would just lay down and open my mind, and I had the intent to like gain these gifts, to gain the ability. And so like when I would meditate, that's what I would meditate on, is like, all right, I want to open my gifts. So I would lay there for like 20 minutes. Sometimes I'd have a really wild, I thought, dream, but it was basically a vision, different things. And that really helped kind of open my third eye and my crown and amplify my abilities to sense things in everything. I bring that up because there's once where I meditated and I felt the energy even through my feet. And so like walking on carpet or linoleum was like, ugh, this feels awful. And it felt so much better on like soil or grass. So meditation is also to open your gifts. Super important. Okay. Try to stay focused on our questions. Okay, so let's see. Alexandra, sorry. Thank you so much for the advice. The healing I received from you was incredible. Oh, thank you. You're welcome, Alexandra. Okay, so we have, hello there. I really wanted to ask you, since you mentioned a prickling sensation. When I meditate, sometimes it feels like 100 pins just prickling my body, and her body just vibrates. Yeah. Yeah, we can have all sorts of sensations. And I don't want to say like that means something, I don't want to interpret that for you. But as we come like online with our spiritual gifts, we get a lot of sensations. When I was first really working on opening my third eye, it would just like burn for days. It would just like so much pressure, as it's just like, it's almost like you're flexing muscles you've never used before. And the whole body, obviously, is our instrument. And we have chakras all over our bodies. Like we have our main ones, we are covered in receptors, and like we can experience energy all over ourselves. So I don't know. Personally, when I experience different sensations, I think of them as growing pains. So I'm never like disturbed by them. Um, I don't know if that helps you. If you're worried about it, personally, I just like, all right, I'm evolving. Awesome. So that's just how I view it personally. Let's see. All right, Francesca, hello. Mind blown on how you do it. So Francesca has received quite a few healings from me, and she says they help me a great deal to deal with life. Yep. I think we've done 4 or 5 sessions together, and she's had a lot of awesome. So Francesca is a great example of somebody who has supported her healings with like changing her lifestyle and like really supporting that. Not everybody does that work, so good job to you, Francesca, for doing that. It's kind of like one Reiki session is not going to fix all of the problems, you know, and we are so complicated. We're like so many layers. Like we have to keep doing the work. We have to do our own shadow work. We have to support any external healing process with our own work. But obviously, an energy healing can definitely help. Like Amanda today, like she's able to let go of a lot of grief, and it's kind of like a little bit of a shortcut, and it gives you breathing space to do the work. Like if you're completely overwhelmed by everything, it can be hard to see a way out. So using energy healing, or again, I go to like psychedelics, or meditating, or things like a past life regression, or anything that's like out of yourself. Those things can definitely help fast track your growth, but you have to support it with the little stuff too. So, do we have any other questions? Got a few more minutes, good like 8 minutes left. Not that it has to be an hour, but I'm shooting for about an hour. And I guess I should say I do offer, so I'm offering these for free on Sundays, but if you would like a session with me, you can learn more about that on my website. I have them super cheap right now, and I'm going to try to keep them that way for as long as I can. Yep, but they are 45 minutes, and you can be, like, you can schedule them to be any time of your day. However, you might experience like grief or whatever. So bearing that in mind when you schedule them. All right, we got some questions coming in now. Do you have any advice for empaths trying to build an energetic boundary? Yeah, that's a big one. Awesome, we got a few questions. So I bring this up all the time when we talk about empaths. I personally am still figuring that out, how to not feel everybody's energy and not be overwhelmed. What I am discovering though is it's much more advanced. So as empaths, we are kind of being forced into this spiritual lifestyle, I believe. Forced by choice. I'm sure as souls, we chose to come into bodies that are super sensitive. So what I have found is when I am experiencing someone else's energy and I do not want it, the best way to not experience that is actually by calling in inside myself the opposite energy that I'm feeling. So let's think of, here's a big lesson. So energies and emotions are almost like halves of a whole. So if you're near somebody who's feeling a lot of anger, there's just like all this anger. It's like an imbalanced energy. And you're experiencing that and you're like, this is so uncomfortable. What you do then is you wonder inside yourself, what is the opposite of this energy? And then you start to experience that in yourself and you grow that. You grow it as big as you can. And what you end up doing is actually balancing that energy. You actually are healing the energy by doing that. It is more work, but when you can do that, you are not affected by that big energy that was kind of like attacking you. And not really attacking you, is just you're aware of it. Everybody is getting hit by all of these energies. As empaths, we just feel it. So that it's not like you're never going to feel anything. We are supposed to feel it, but we can learn how to heal the energies that we're coming across. I have a few guided meditations on my channel for how to do that, how to work with energies and balance them in that way. That is truly the most effective method I have found to deal with energies I don't like to experience. And when you're in a one-on-one space with somebody, it's really easy to do that with practice. I am at the point now where if I go into a store, like yesterday I went to, there's a bigger city, in it's Grand Rapids. I live in Michigan. And I went there, I went into a Target. And when I went in, the energy felt like a shooting could break out. It was so aggressive. It was so volatile. It was like, whoa, am I in danger of being here? Wow. And as who I am and the work that I've done, I kind of stood in line on my way out, back in that energy, and I was working on it. It's like, all right, of this whole space, what can I do? And I started to shift the energy of the space. Personally, I believe that's kind of why we have these gifts. So we're sensitive for a reason, and it's a gift. I know it feels like a burden, but as you get to learn what you can do with energy and like feel excited and empowered about it, you can do so many really cool things. So kind of a long ramble, but I hope that at least encourages you a little bit and maybe gives you a direction to pursue. All right, let's go to the next question. All right, Olivia, when you see your spirit guides, do you see them as energy or like a person standing with you, or how does it work? Okay. So, when I think, I see in pictures anyway. I'm one of those very visual people. So there's constantly like this screen going on in front of me. You're welcome. So there's that's just like how I think naturally. I don't see like spirit guides. They're not like, right next to me, like in person. I couldn't like, it's not the same as like seeing them if I was, next to my husband. It's different. I will see them in my mind's eye. So like I said, when my eyes are open, that's how I think and see anyway. So I'm not sure if this would be true for everybody. When I meditate or when I do like a guided meditation, if you do any of those, you're practicing that ability to receive things in your third eye, which, spoiler alert, I'm like helping you all spiritually evolve in all these guided meditations. It's like my goal. So when you're able to feel things or sense things or know things in those guided meditations, that is how you are going to communicate with your guides or spirit or whatever. So if you are a visual person in those guided meditations, that is how you can see your guides too. So it's that same space, that same relaxed space. If you're someone who senses things, like you feel the emotions or you just have a knowing, that is how you're going to experience your spirit guides. Some people will experience them simply in the external world too. Like if you're if you have the mentality like I want to meet my spirit guide, and then you start seeing repeating numbers, or you find four-leaf clovers everywhere, you're finding feathers or whatever, like that's a way of communicating with your guides too. um, and I believe that we can all evolve into a um, deeper connection with our guides too. It just takes practice and perseverance. We can develop so many really cool things, but you gotta like stay focused on it. Okay, I hope that helped. All right, next question. Vioma, hello. Are you sure you are protecting yourself doing energy work for others? It must be difficult. Yeah, so before a session, I envelop myself in an energetic bubble. And I believe that by having all my chakras open, um, I'm more embodied. So our souls are, we're always our souls, but when our chakras are open, we are more present. And when I work with energy, I shift into a very powerful place. I have immense confidence and strength. And I have interacted with a lot of things doing this work. You know, I've seen negative things that we could say, but I just interact with them very calmly, and I have a lot of strength. I also have a few spiritual connections outside of myself. So I have like spirit animals, and they work with me, and they have very specific roles in helping to protect my space. Um, but I guess I just have this, I have a natural tendency to just like, I'm ready to fight. I just have a level of confidence, and that's part of like this body, this personality. And I think that could be gained. A lot of people will make use of, like in the witchcraft community, they make use of like protection salts or drawing sigils, or there are different ways to set your space where you feel safe. And, there's a lot of research out there or books about that. People who do that sort of work and have a practice like that, you can find them and you can feel, it's almost like gaining a little bit of their confidence and applying it to your space too. However, I have to say, we are incredibly powerful beings. It just takes realizing it. And once you realize it, I don't know, it gets easier. Like, you're not afraid. Okay. Next question. Okay. Okay, so back to the empathic conversation. She wants to do energy healing because she's so sensitive. She says, you saying forced by choice really resonates, haha, but I don't want to absorb too much. Okay, so when I guess what you saw when I finished the session, working with Amanda's energy, I deliberately cut that connection off. So when we're with somebody, and this may have to do with this like different embodiment level, it's probably a major key. So when we're just like walking around in life and we're like being hit with energy all the time, we are almost like passively receiving things. When you go to this like healer space and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do it. At least for me and other healers I've seen, there's just this, we get filled up with our presence, and we are just in our flow, we're in our power place, and we can confidently do things and disconnect after a session. Like, you can do that confidently after. To get to that level of confidence is probably just a matter of training and practice. If you're worried about practicing with people, you can practice with animals. I've done work on my dogs. I've done work on, we have pigs, I've done work on pigs, on a turkey. You can do work on your cats, anything, even trees. So you can begin to practice with plants. I've done a lot of work with plants, and they have really interesting energy. You can sense the roots and just start feeling things. It doesn't have to be people. Work your way up to that. Okay. All right. Jose, hello. While meditation. Okay, you get sleepy. Is that part of meditation? Okay, so sometimes when we meditate, definitely in my guided meditations, a lot of the times I bring you incredibly deep, and that is to help you to not be in your analytical mind so you can actually access things that kind of have been hidden to you up to that point, and you can feel so relaxed that you basically don't remember anything because you're just like, you're not sleeping, but you're just out of it, like so deep. Um, so that's one thing, and that's okay because you're unlocking things, and you can. That's meditation. It's a very deep state of meditation. There is the other thing though of truly just getting so tired, and I've experienced that too. Sometimes when I meditate, I get so overwhelmingly sleepy, and I can only meditate for like 7 minutes, and then I'm like, I gotta take a nap, and so I do. Um, I believe that sometimes we are truly just tired, and we do need to rest, and there's that. So that would be, you could experience that through my guided meditations too, that overwhelming sense of just tiredness. I know I've talked with another follower here, Francesca, and we talked about doing them at a different time of day, choosing a time of day where maybe you're a little bit more awake. That could be helpful too. I have also done some really great meditation and work by, I will deliberately lay down and open my mind and just allow myself, if I fall asleep, I fall asleep. If I don't, I just know that I'm going to a very deep place, and I just set a timer and I know work happened. And I think lying on your back, not getting all comfy how you would normally fall asleep, it kind of makes you stay a little bit more focused on meditating. Yeah. So that's that, I guess, for that one. Let's see. Okay, I think we have our last thing. Ali, I love your guided meditations. They're so helpful and truly help me to get into a relaxed state. Thank you for your answer, and thanks for, yeah, thank you. She had had the question about spirit guides. Okay. All right, Amanda, thanks again. You are gifted, shockingly so. I think I need a nap though. Your guided meditation was wonderful too. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you, Amanda. And I think with that, we'll go ahead and close. We are over time. Amanda, thank you so much for allowing us to kind of experience what you're going through in your life and being willing to do that with everybody here. Like I said, I'm going to do this next week too, so you can log back in Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Probably on Thursday or Friday, I'm going to post like, hey, I'm choosing who's going to be next, and it will be whoever comments first on that can be the person who received this. And then FYI for empaths, I'm going to be starting an empathic group, I guess, for Wednesdays. I think I'm going to do that either noon or 1 on Wednesdays. I'll start that in a couple weeks because I want to get it really ironed out, but I'd like to work together to work with your energies all together where we can kind of sense a collective group, and we can start to just like work together. So I'm going to be working on that, and I will post that here. I'll probably just do them as lives until it gets too big. I don't know. I personally can work with a lot of energies at once, but I want to keep it maybe a manageable group size for you to experience. So I have to work that out still, but that is something I'm going to be kind of developing that we can do together as empaths specifically, or people who are more aware, open. Okay, awesome. I'm glad that sounds cool because I'm excited about it myself. So thank you so much for joining me today. I love being here with you. I think it's super fun. So thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and your week. Bye.